Welcome back to another episode of Fuck You, Hey Me. This is your host, Jasmine Adams, and I am sitting here with a great friend of mine. Her name is Chanel, but you all know her as Madam Prezident. Hi, Chanel. How are you?
Hey, Jasmine. I'm well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sitting down and speaking with me and talking about money and negotiation. So I'm excited to get into it with you.
Me too. I'm all about the money. Pay me. I love what you said. F you, pay me.
F you,
pay up,
me.
hurry up. This is a stick up.
Love it. Love it. And I want to give you all a little bit of background. So Chanel, I don't know if we've done the calculations, but we've known each other going on 7 years next year.
Oh my God, that's a long time.
Yes.
Look at us.
So for the folks out there, Chanel and I work together at Array Productions, which is Ava DuVernay's production company. And so we met because we were two Atlanta transplants in LA. We were both, I guess at that time, 33 years old.
Oh my God, don't be telling my age. You can tell your age.
I know. But we related to each other, have always stayed in touch. Now we're both back in Atlanta, so I'm really glad to reconnect.
Absolutely. And I don't know if your supporters know exactly who you are, but I think it's important that they know that you are what you are on camera, off camera. You are that person that,
I will take it.
You are that person that have a genuine interest in making sure that people have the knowledge that they need to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
You were the one who was telling me about how I had all these different transferable skills. You were the one, where and sometimes in these spaces, people feel like, oh, everybody's a gatekeeper. Let me tell you something. Jasmine Adams is not a gatekeeper. She is one of those people that once you tell her what you do, what you want to do, and how it's relatable to what any resource that she has access to, she's remembering you. And so thank you for remembering me again.
That means a lot. Thank you for saying that, because to your point, I've been career coaching since 2007, and it's all about making those connections. What are the warm connections? What can we do to help people get on the path, on the journey that they're trying to pursue? So with that, I'm going to kick it off because we have talked enough, but I want my followers, my audience to know exactly who Madam Prezident is. So I would love for you to do a brief introduction to let everybody know who I am sitting with today.
All right. Well, people, brief introduction. I'm Madam Prezident with a Z. I'm 100% politically incorrect. And you probably have seen me online talking about all types of political things that some things are not agreeable, but that's why I'm politically incorrect. It's not for you to agree. It's for you to think, for you to say, that's interesting, or not. Well, I'll just say that I do social commentary, and I've been a person who works in production, TV and film for over a decade. I am a part of the aviation logistics team. So your favorite celebrity, I have probably flown them anywhere that you can think of so they can do that favorite movie that you want them to do. So that's what I've been doing for over a decade. And it has afforded me a wonderful life.
I love that. And I want to start out by you sharing with our listeners, how did you get into that? Because you didn't necessarily sit in your seat as a sophomore in college and say, this is what I want to do with that same level of clarity. So how did you end up in this position?
It's so interesting. When I was in college, I remember finishing college thinking to myself, what am I doing next? I called my uncle who still lives in Atlanta. And I said, hey, do you mind if I come to Atlanta and stay with you? Because I heard there's a lot of different TV, movie things happening, and I want to try to see what can happen. And I will never forget, my uncle was like, sure, no problem, come. I won't get into that whole story, but my uncle is wonderful, and he has always been a supporter of mine. And I just will say that in the moment, I also considered going to UCLA for an MFA degree. I was like, maybe I should just go to school for writing. Like, something has to happen.
Okay.
Graduation came a lot quicker than I thought, and I feel like I didn't have a plan. So I was planning after graduation, which I do not recommend, okay? Start going to your counselor's office now. If you're a freshman, good. Start going now.
Right.
And start talking about life after graduation because it's important. So all that to say, I got to Atlanta and I just worked a job and kept working a job. And my mentor had a private tour at Tyler Perry Studios one year, and he took me with him. And when he had that private tour, and I'm making the story a lot shorter than what it
Yes.
is. Once he had that private tour at Tyler Perry Studios, this was probably about 2012.
Mhm.
There was a studio manager named Andy Norman. He was phenomenal.
Mhm.
He toured this studio like he was a part of the ground being broke, like he was a
Amazing.
part of the doorknobs being opened. There was so much pride
Mhm.
with this tour. He even showed us Medea's costume. So it was very much like, wow. And all that to say that once he did the tour, he gave me a card. And I emailed him probably about 2 months later.
Okay.
I emailed him. I said, "Thank you so much for the tour. If there are any internships opportunities, please let me know." I never heard a response.
Mhm.
About a month went by. I get a call. "Hey, Chanel, this is Andy Norman." "Hey, Mr. Norman, how you doing?" This is obviously I wasn't expecting this call.
Right.
He was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I found your email. I was looking for a receipt in the junk mail." He said, "And I was looking for the receipt in the
See?
junk mail."
Look at God.
Only God can pull you out of the junk mail,
Right.
okay? Only God. So he said, "I was looking for a receipt and I found your email."
Mhm.
He says, "I don't have anything open in my department, but I'm going to send your resume to a young lady. She may have something open in her department." I said, "Well, thank you so much." Literally 2 hours later, I got a call. "Hey, I'm looking to speak to Chanel Walker. This is Clifford Johnson. I'm the production secretary on the Have and Have Nots." What? This is crazy. And he was like, "Hey, I'm calling. We want you to come in for an interview. Can you come in Monday?"
Today,
Right.
yes.
That's what he was like. "Can you
10
come in
minutes
Monday?"
ago.
I was like, yeah, sure." Then it's like 8 o'clock. And then he called me back and said, "Hey, we need to push that to 10 o'clock." "Okay, sure." And in that moment, I thought that this is it. My time is coming. I'm about to have Hollywood by the hands and arms and feet. But I got a job. I will say that
Yes.
I got a
Good, good, good.
job.
Okay. And what was the role that you
I was a
landed?
PA. Most people
Perfect.
start out in if you're a person who has an interest in the industry
Mhm.
in general,
Mhm.
you should know that a production assistant role is usually everybody's start.
Yep.
And that's the gruesome role. Get the coffee, count the scripts, go
Yep.
get the stuff for props, go get the stuff for, go get whatever is needed.
Mhm.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty,
Yeah.
but
But
it's
that's what led you to your current path. I
correct.
love
The
that.
path of
Yeah.
travel
Yeah. And
coordinating.
most people in media and Hollywood, their origin stories, if you all have opportunities to talk with them, we all have a very unique and defining and exciting origin story. So thank you for sharing yours with us.
You're welcome.
And so now I want to pivot and now let's talk about the money side of the business,
Woohoo!
right? So she broke in, she got the PA job. Like you said, you've been working in the industry over 10 years now.
Mhm.
So let's talk about money decisions and your relationship with money. So
Okay.
my first question to you is tell us about a good money decision that you feel you've made uh, since you've, pursued this career.
Absolutely. I would say the best money decision that I made in Hollywood is buying a house.
Mm,
Yeah, when I bought a house during the pandemic, and
okay.
that was like a very wise moment to
Mhm.
purchase because it was also a very um unsettling, unsure moment. People
Okay.
wasn't sure what to do.
Yep.
We were not in human contact. People were
Mhm.
afraid. I mean, even my closing was in a parking garage. I did
Mm,
not even get a chance to sit at a table. So in the moment, houses were still in this space of affordability,
mhm.
especially in places like Atlanta. Before I went to LA, which is where I met you, I had been going to interest meetings on buying a house in the city of Atlanta.
Mhm.
So I was pretty much like getting the knowledge or
Mhm.
about the different city structures and where to purchase
Yep.
and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and all these different things.
Mhm.
So I'll never forget being in Los Angeles telling myself, well, if I buy this house, I would like to make this purchase. I want to be less than 5 miles from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I kid you not, when the time came,
Mhm.
that's exactly what I found. I found a house that was close to the highway, that was close to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that was also less than $10 to get to Midtown.
Right.
I met all of my needs
Yes.
in this geographical interest
Yep.
in 2020. And if
Mhm.
you fast forward to now, the same 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes
Mhm.
are double the price.
Exactly.
So that was
Exactly.
one of the best financial decisions that I've ever made.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful because a lot of times in Hollywood, this is something important. A lot of
Mhm.
times in Hollywood, people only see the famous people. So
Okay.
their association with making money and what's required
Mhm.
is fame and
Mhm.
act. But what people don't know is every movie you have ever seen,
Right.
there are 500 people behind the scenes making your favorite scene
Mhm.
happen.
Mhm.
And to be one of those people behind the scenes making the scene happen
Mhm.
is much more impactful than people think. And let
Yeah.
me tell you why.
Mhm.
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence can only do a bad boy movie. They in the front of the camera, they get paid millions.
Okay.
But the cameraman who does this movie, they get an opportunity to do the movie that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is doing, the movie that Matt Damon is
Right.
doing,
Yeah.
the movie that Madam President is
Yeah.
doing, the
Yeah.
movie that Jasmine Adams is doing. They don't have anything to stop them from making movies.
Mhm.
But that's the beauty of being behind the scenes.
Mhm.
I'm not here to say that, being a A-list celebrity doesn't have its advantages,
Yeah.
but I'm here to inform people that being behind the scenes have its advantages too.
I hear that. Okay. So thank you for sharing your good money decision. Let's transition to what you feel, and I always put it in quotes, as a bad money decision, but really what I mean by bad is something that we can learn from. And so in your situation, I'm asking about a decision that you made, but if you could do it again, you would do it differently. What is
Oh
that
my
for you?
God. I'm telling you, some of the worst money decisions I made was pulling in quite a bit of money and over consuming.
Mm.
I was shopping and hey, I'm headed all over the world. I'm gone,
Yep.
and I really wasn't saving at
Okay.
the speed, or not even investing
Okay.
at the speed that I was consuming.
Okay.
So that's going to be my top money mistake, is over consuming.
Mhm. Mhm.
I, over consuming, just no end, it's just out.
Okay. And so tell us, how did you, one, when did you realize that you were doing that? And then two, how did you recover from it?
Thank you for asking me that question. In 2021,
Mhm.
our industry in Hollywood had began to make a lot of movies.
Okay.
The reason that the industry was making a lot of movies was because it was COVID, post-COVID, and you know what they say, Atlanta never really had COVID.
Right.
Atlanta was doing what it wanted to do. But the point I'm gonna make is, um, the COVID situation slowed down cinema. So when they got the green light to go and film,
Mhm.
there was nothing but filming happening.
Mhm.
I had tons of movies. I was working, this show, that movie, that movie. I was rich. When I tell you I had my own money. You remember that movie,
Yes.
Coming to America?
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
tell you he got his own money, he got his own money. That was me.
Yes, yes.
So it was a lot of money coming in. And I
Mhm.
will say that after that year, things, of course,
Slowed
took a
down.
natural slowdown, but we went on strike 2 years later.
Yeah.
And when we went on strike 2 years later, in full transparency, I went from making $180,000 that good year
Mhm.
to making $39,000 the worst year of my, career. And that was horrible. So
Okay.
when you go from $180,000,
Mhm.
let me just tell you, number one, taxes gonna get theirs. They gonna
Correct.
eat that up no
Correct.
matter what. So when you go from $180,000 to $39,000, $40,000,
Mhm.
you are left to evaluate, what can you actually afford,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
So that means that when I was bringing in, because as a contract worker, you have a fluctuating,
Yep.
year anyway.
Mhm.
But on average, my years would probably be around 112,000,
Okay.
100,000. So I was always consistently in six figures.
Yes.
But when you have a year and it ain't none of that,
Right. So how did you recover?
man, whoo. Recovery is an underused word. I
Okay.
love that you asked that
Mhm.
question. People don't use words like effort, a lot, or recovery. So recovery is an underused word. How did I recover? So I know that people talk about hard work, but people don't talk about hard help.
Oh,
I had help.
okay.
I had help. I had my godfather. He loves me. He cares about me. Don't want to see me homeless, So I had help. I
Okay.
had a 401k.
Mm.
I had
Mhm.
to pull out of my 401k. I had to live off of it.
Okay.
I had to have I had to have a real conversation with debt.
Yes.
Debt. Debt is unnecessary.
Mhm. Mhm.
Over-consuming is
Mhm.
unnecessary.
Mhm.
So I had to come to the reality. I had to look at my situation and evaluate
Mhm.
how I handle my money.
Mhm.
What do you do with your money, whether you have a lot or a little, is gonna be consistent.
I love you said that because the famous quote, they said, "If you can't manage $100, you can't manage a million." Right?
Exactly.
And so it's not even about, well, I don't have enough to do X. It's always have to make it enough. And then as you make it enough, you'll gain more.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that. And I think that's a great transition to your relationship with money. And
Mhm.
so for all of us, our relationship with money has evolved from when we were 15 to 25 to now 40. So tell us about your relationship with money and how it evolved.
I just turned 40, and you just
Happy
saying that
birthday.
it just reminded me, like, you said from 15 to 25 to 40. Oh,
I
we
know you're
growing up
like, "Well,
so
we're not
quickly.
40. Who are you talking about?" You, me.
Right.
Oh, okay. We're here.
So the one thing that I just changing the relationship with money, or just where it is right now, I would say that it works for me. I don't work for it.
Okay.
We become prisoners to the money sometimes,
Correct.
to the capacity that you feel like you don't have enough. And then when you have, sometimes people have so much, they don't know the balance. They don't know when to share, when to hold on to it, when to have 6 months in reserves,
Mhm.
when you can invest.
Mhm.
All of that seems to be foreign to so many people. But what I learned is that, I make money.
Mhm.
Money don't make me.
All
And
right.
that's important. And I'm going to just specify what I mean by that.
Okay.
In our industry, we have it's a prestigious industry. It's
Mhm.
a industry built on elitism. It's an industry
Yes.
built on above the line and below the line.
Yep.
So when you have that, you have esteem that goes along with your money.
Mhm.
You have your value system and your self-worth.
Mhm.
This is why people who lose millions and millions of dollars feel suicidal. Well, who am I if I don't have my money?
Right.
Who
It's
am
part
I?
of
How
their
can I get a
identity.
girl if I don't have the money?
Right.
But I hate to say it, you got to be one of those people who keep in mind, I am, I am that I am, even when I don't have.
Yes. I'm not my money, I'm me. I
And
love that.
guess what? Imma
Mhm.
go and get it.
Yes.
I'm going to get it. I'm so wealthy, you can't bribe me with currency.
Mhm.
I got something beyond that. I got
All
something
right.
greater than that.
All right.
Because I always tell people, God money is people. People, what can God do with pesos? What can God do with pounds? What can
Mhm.
God do with the US dollar? Absolutely nothing. But
Mhm.
what can God do with Jasmine? Everything.
Right. Right.
So the creator's money is people.
I love that. I love that. And I think one thing that you just hit on that I want to repeat for our watchers is understanding that it evolves, and however it evolves, it does not define you. And I love that
Mhm.
you were able to phrase that in so many different ways. That leads me to another thought around money plus negotiation. Because to your
Mhm.
point, if money doesn't define you, then how do you know what your worth is in terms of negotiating for yourself and asking what you should be paid? And so I'd love
Mhm.
to hear about an experience where you had to negotiate a rate or your pay. How did you find out that you were underpaid, and what was that negotiation experience like?
This is a awesome question, and I love it. Yes. I feel like, remember that movie, Show Me the Money? That's what I feel like.
Yep.
Jerry Maguire,
Yes.
show me the money, Jerry. Show me the money. That's how I feel. So
Mhm.
I'm glad you asked. I was working on a TV show, major network show, and I had the role of a travel secretary.
Mhm.
But the role of a travel secretary is not a union role.
Mhm.
I had the duties and the responsibility of a travel coordinator. So they were basically able to underpay me because I didn't have the proper title.
All right.
So I basically got sick, went to the hospital, and I had an ulcer in my stomach.
Mm.
And when I had an ulcer in my stomach, I was in the hospital for about 3 to 4 days. The doctor was like, "Hey, you're young. Why are you here? What has caused this?" I said, "Doctor, you the professional. I thought you would tell me,
Right. Right.
why am I here? I'm not eating something that I thought would give me an ulcer."
Okay.
So she just, she proceeded, number one, to say, "We're not going to do a surgery on you because your body is healing itself."
Okay.
I love that for me.
Yeah.
So that was one. And so two, I was really bummed by not having insurance. When I finished with this process, I was like, why don't I have insurance? And I work every day. I'm a part
Mhm.
of one of the richest industries in the world.
Mhm.
And I don't have healthcare insurance. So I took it upon myself. I went to the department, the accountant, the head accountant. I said, hey, I'm trying to figure out, what do I need to do to get some kind of insurance? I went to the hospital and I need to figure this out. And so
Mhm.
she's like, you need to. She was like, well, your role isn't a union role, but if you were in the union, you could get insurance. So I said, well, I need to call the union.
Right.
So in that moment, I remember calling the union and said, hey, my name is Chanel Walker and I want to, what can I do to join the union? And she says, do you have a crew list? I said, yes. And I sent her my crew list. She said, they calling you a travel secretary. This is how they're getting away with not paying you
Wow.
union pay, and this is how they're getting away with not paying your benefits.
Right.
She says, I'm going to send a letter to the studio and your producer. I'm going to have you back paid,
Oh,
and that will also be health care. Woo! Every time I tell the story, I get chills.
that's called reparations.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. That is amazing. That is
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, my cousin said I'm the first one to get reparations, so I'm very excited about that. So all that to say, I end up getting a letter
Okay.
from the studio as well. They had to back pay me. They back pay me in a full check.
Okay.
I joined the union. My benefits got back paid, and she
Wow.
told me, I wish you had called me 5 years ago.
Wow.
That's how long. This is why information is so important.
Mhm.
Your wealth is caught up in your information.
Right.
What you know
Mhm.
is a reflection of your pay.
Mhm.
So if you don't know much, then you will be subjected to
Mhm.
work life that, that doesn't require much of you.
Mhm.
But if you know a lot, then your income should reflect
Yeah,
that.
you're empowered to have the conversations, ask the right questions, and frankly, demand your worth, right?
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Given demanding your worth is a very intimidating experience for a lot of people, especially minorities and women, where
Mhm.
we were not necessarily taught or groomed to say, this is how you should negotiate. Negotiating is normal. It's not confrontational. It's not you being, what's the word, greedy,
Mhm.
right? It's just about you articulating the worth that you're bringing to the table. So
Mhm.
tell me, being a multi-hyphenate, and yes, you've worked as a travel coordinator, but you're also a motivational speaker. You also have products out there. How do you know how to price it? How do you know what your rate should be, or how to determine your worth?
That's a great question. So I like to go off the model of information and research. I like to use the research. What's the common price, for this? This is
Mhm.
something that a lot of Black brands, and I'm going to say this, a lot of Black brands do this.
Mhm.
Something that Black brands do is they try to get 3 times the amount of what they pay for a product.
Okay.
It's not wrong or uncommon, but
Okay.
I heard a multi-millionaire say something that I can't forget.
Mhm.
And he said, I get millions of people to give me cents. That's how I get
Mm.
lots of money.
Okay.
So I started to change my mindset of, do I want a lot of money
Mhm.
or do I want a lot of people?
Mm.
And that's the difference. Sometimes it's not a lot. of money,
Mhm.
because the money will come. It's the number of people. How many people can I impact
Yep.
to have the large number?
Right.
So
Right.
that's something that shifted. So I just really come up with pricing through just research. I
Okay.
try to always be fair, and I try to I do my pricing based on my own personal affordability.
Okay.
I use that metric because I've worked hard for the money that I have, so that I don't give it easily.
You're right.
Also, too, there are certain things, no matter what it is, I don't have the value in it to pay for it. So I
Mm.
try to stay in the middle
Mhm.
from what I research and
Mhm.
what's true to myself.
Okay. And so let's talk about one of your products. I know you shared with me that you have launched a new product about trauma in the corporate
Mhm.
space. Tell our audience a little bit about that and your decision to price it and how it's helping people.
Absolutely. So I created a course called Corporate Trauma Saving Black Women 10 Years and Men 10 Years of Sweat Equity. Sometimes I forget, brothers, because, it's the women who spend a lot of time into personal development, and women deal with a lot of different isms. So there's a reason why sometimes women are sometimes pushed into these products a little quicker than men.
Okay.
But in the product, I
Mhm.
will say that corporate trauma, saving Black women 10 years of sweat equity. My objective is to give Black women and men the tools that's necessary to feel empowered in the work that they do
Okay.
and get paid for it.
Okay.
Similar to myself, if I'm underpaid for 5+ years in a row without having the knowledge, the information, to see what the value is to the job, see
Mhm.
what the proper titles are to the job, to see what the transferable skills are to the job, then I'm leaving money on the table.
Right.
And we don't want to do that.
Right.
And one of the things that got me to a place of empowerment was knowledge. You're
Okay.
not empowered if you don't know.
Right.
Empowerment comes from knowing. So once you know, you can navigate accordingly. Also, there's this scarcity mindset. Sometimes people feel like, well, what if I lose the job? You're gonna lose it. It's not yours.
Yeah.
You should always remember. This is something that helped me. I'll never forget. I was young. I was working at Tyler Perry Studios.
Okay.
I was I was maybe 24,
Okay.
walking in the door, and I remember sitting at a desk, and one of my colleagues, we were all like in this room, bullpen, all working. And I remember sitting at a desk, and the next day I came to the room, and
Mhm.
he was in the desk. I said, "That's my desk. Why would you sit there?" He was like, "It's not your desk." And I was like, "Okay." And we left it alone, but I remember telling the story to my mentor.
Mhm.
My mentor told me, he said, "I'm going to save you a lot of time and grief because you're young." He says, "Nothing in that studio belongs to you."
Nothing.
He
None of
says,
it is
"I don't want
yours.
you having another conversation with anyone about anything. Nothing is yours." He said, "That desk that you sit at home, that's what belongs to you. So guess what? I don't care where they sit you. You go home and sit at your big desk.
Mhm.
You go home and sit in a way that nobody knows.
Right.
This is how you really win."
Yeah, it's a
M
posture of ownership.
It
That's exactly what you're
is.
saying. It's the posture of ownership. And so with that in mind, thinking about Madam President, right?
Mhm.
That's a brand that you own, that's a name that you own. You are showing up in a posture of ownership. Tell us about your decision to grow it. What fueled that decision and what kept you consistent?
Well, to be very honest and transparent, I believe there's a space for a woman to have, radical thinking,
Mhm.
radical concepts. This is one of the things that I realize. Everybody in the world can make a stamp. Everybody in the world can tell you, well, this is the school system in this zone. And you don't have a choice. You just say,
Mhm.
well, this is the school system. They can tell you, well, everybody is off for President's Day. Well, well, all the presidents had slaves. Well, I got to be off. And so it's like you don't supposed to have any theory or
Mhm.
thought process to how the world is ran.
Yep.
You're just supposed to follow.
Mhm.
So, as a person who don't enjoy that, I decided that no, if if rappers can go on the studio and do a rap song and say, "I'll kill you," call you N-word, and women can say B words and lick my twat, why can't I go and say, "You know what? America's racism is detrimental because blah, 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 blah."
Right,
Why
right.
can't I have a voice in certain subject matters?
Yes.
if we can poison easily. Nobody questions that.
Right. You're right. Okay. And so tell us about your decision to grow it and how you stay consistent with growing it.
Thank you for bringing me
Yeah,
back, because
no
obviously
worries.
I was on a tangent. Okay, so I decided around 2024
Okay.
that I was going to do a video every day and work on Madam President, and that's exactly what I did. I did it every day for an entire year,
Wow.
and that means every day. The days I didn't feel like it, the days
Right.
that I didn't want to, the days that I was sick, the days that I lost my job, the days that, a person in my family passed away, the
Mm.
days that, things happened.
Yeah.
I stayed committed to it.
Wow.
So I've been doing it for 2 years nonstop,
Wow.
and we're at 44,000.
Wow.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And why not say, okay, well, I'm gonna batch shoot videos so I don't have to do it every day? What made you say no, I have to show up every day?
I felt like showing up every day. I did do some batch shooting,
Okay.
but every day I would have to do the work.
Okay.
Every day I would have to do something. Every day I was thinking, even to this day, I put about an hour plus into Madam President. It's not always videos now,
Mhm.
because I realized that I was growing the entire Madam President platform through ideas and concepts and videos, and a lot of things went viral.
Okay.
But I will say it was the business side. People would reach out, "Hey, Madam President, can you come to Philly?" I had no press kit. "Hey, Madam
Mm.
President, can you come, talk to us on this?" I had no topics, a breakdown sheet of topics that I'm open to discussing.
Okay.
So all of that took time.
What comes to mind is you growing it then led to the request for you to learn that you needed to develop it, right?
Yes.
Don't you feel like it had to happen in that order or
I do
no?
agree. I
Okay.
believe that it had to happen in that order, and this is some of the challenges of doing it all.
Okay.
When you're doing it all, you don't really have the support to say, "Hey,
Okay.
I'll work on this while you work on this."
Yes.
That's the challenge about being the creative, is that
And the
you are
business.
doing it all.
Yes. Yes.
Oh
Okay.
my god, so many hats, not enough money.
Right. Right. So then going back to that consistency every day, was it driven from, a goal of, well, if I get it to this level of viewership, then the money will follow. And so, what's helping to drive me is I can increase my wealth? Or is it more I'm a creative and I'm working on other people's stuff every day and I gotta be consistent to have an outlet for me? Like what was driving that consistency every day?
Absolutely. The drive is definitely intrinsic motivation. It's
Okay.
more so like, no, I got to do something for me.
Mhm.
Madam President, being a social commentator, has been something that has been happening for years. Before social media became popular, I was a person who was doing videos. I learned early. I will tell this to anybody, especially if you are a young person: do not waste your youth on chasing opportunity. This is something that they
Mm.
don't teach us. We spend
Okay.
a lot of years chasing opportunity, but people are only looking for one person.
Okay.
You you're up against a country that's looking for one anchor.
Okay.
It's 17 million anchors.
Okay.
Now, guess what? I'm an anchor. I don't need you. I report my own story. Guess what happened? They ain't even put this on the news, and
Yes.
this is why so many things have dissolved, because what we realize through YouTube, what we realize through social media,
Mhm.
is that people are building their own platforms and their own networks.
Mhm. Mhm.
If I had the team, man, whew,
Mhm.
watch out, watch
Right.
out.
Right. And so going back to, I guess, the mindset around the wealth building, what do you see for yourself in the future? 2026 is coming up for Madam President and how you're going to continue to expand and also build your wealth.
Absolutely. One of the things that I see from Madam President is I've been really exploring the idea of a network.
Mm.
Everything is up for grabs. Hollywood has shifted. They're just as in the vote trying to figure out what's the next big thing as we are.
Yes.
They're paying people lots of money for vertical series right now. What's a vertical series? A series that you create on your phone that has a
Mm.
high volume. You ever seen a series that you watch and it's like a soap opera, but you're watching it on your phone,
Mhm.
and something has happened per every 30 seconds
Mhm.
that keeps you watching it to see what happens next.
Interesting.
This is the next wave
Okay.
of TV because when Hollywood wants you to watch everything on your phone, I wanna know what's happening to my living room.
Mhm.
I'm asking the questions that people aren't asking.
Right.
I'm concerned and excited.
Right, right. Yes.
So, I think that what a lot of creatives should know at this moment,
Okay.
the sky is really the limit like never before.
Mhm, mhm. I love that. I love that. And it goes back to, I think mindset, right? Because if the sky is the limit, you have to believe that, and that's
Mhm.
something where you have to apply the consistency, like what you did every day to say, 44,000 followers, like, I can't that's somebody else. Those are people who were famous, not me. But you were
Mhm.
able to see something beyond what the previous limit might have been
Mhm.
mentally. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and something that I always tell people, I spoke at a school recently probably about 3 weeks ago. I spoke at a school in Alabama, a bunch of high school students and some
Mhm.
college students.
Mhm.
But something that I told them, I don't care if a person has 4 million followers. They don't get to 4 million without going through 400. So
Exactly.
everybody, likes to put the big emphasis on the large following.
Yep.
Every large following started with a small group of followers.
Yes.
That's what's important.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And so my last question, I'm so sad to wrap it up. Such a
Oh my
good
god,
conversation.
no.
So tell the audience, if you think back around your creative journey and also your path of building wealth and demanding your worth and negotiating, like what are some of the lessons that you learned that you would like to share with the audience so they don't make the same mistakes you did?
Um, the one thing I will say is you should trust yourself. I don't say that, just like a grandmama, "Oh, baby, trust yourself." No, you should trust that A, you deserve to be paid and compensated properly.
All
You
right.
should trust that you are talented. You should trust that you can do the job, that you are the one for the job. Get rid of the imposter syndrome. Get rid of the lack of belief.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have any of that. "Oh, I'm a woman. I am the
All
woman."
right now.
I don't wanna hear that you're a woman. You are
Yes.
the woman.
Yes.
Oh, but if you guess what? I don't wanna hear anything that you have talked yourself out of.
Mhm, mhm,
This that you are in front of the people that you're in front of because this is how far your reach has gotten you.
mhm.
I met Jasmine in California. Cali. We're
Yeah.
sitting here having a conversation, and guess what? We didn't need Ava DuVernay to produce it.
Right,
This
right.
is what happens when you're not waiting on people. You
Mhm,
do it for yourself. So that's what will say, be patient with yourself, believe in yourself, and most of all, believe in yourself. Don't cheat yourself,
mhm,
let
mhm.
somebody else cheat you.
Yeah, and let somebody else cheat you. That's funny, but the takeaway I get from that is using that muscle of, even though I don't know, I'll figure it out. That's what reinstills the trust yourself, right? So like
Mhm.
you said, if it's the job and you're like, well, I don't have that skill set, or they don't want someone like me, or I don't know how to do it, I've never done it before. If you are out in the world every day doing things you've never done before and then you figure it out, that's what helps you trust your gut to know that you can rise to any occasion. So that's amazing, amazing advice. That's a
Thank
great note
you.
to end on.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We had another great conversation with Madam President herself, and stay tuned for more Fuck You, Pay Me interviews.